Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You gotta eat what you kill. You gotta go out there. You gotta hunt for your meals.
We all have that ability to connect with people, to be that motivational person in somebody's life.
You gotta let people know there's certain lines you don't cross, and that there's gonna be consequences if you do.
Man up.
If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, that person's emotions are not your responsibility.
Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
The devil, during slavery, destroyed the masculinity or manhood of the so-called Negro. No man. No man. Right now you got to be trained all over again to be a man.
When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reaction.
Man up.
Position make you rich. I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
If that people knew that glorious path, if that people knew that glorious path, if that people knew that glorious path, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You want to tell me about yourself? Go get your friends. I'll tell you who you are based on who your friends are.
Don't just live and die. That's an ugly existence. Make your life matter. Make your life count. Live a life where people can actually mourn you for the things you left behind, not just because you were around and existed.
We need strong black nuclear family.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. Mother, father, son, daughter, all in the same house with a focus on the family unit as a whole.
We had Tulsa, Atlanta, New Jersey, Detroit. We had Rosewood. We had Black Wall Streets all over.
The Republicans aren't for us, but the Democrats aren't for us either. And we should have no alliance to any political party. We only have alliance to what is in our own best interest.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
At the end of the day, as men in the community, we must stand together and be counted, because people look to us for guidance, leadership, and protection. And if we are not about that business, we are not on our job. Here we have grown-ass man conversations in the spirit of that purpose. Anthony Malcolm, Bobby Drake, Major Gage. We are. This is Manifestations 2020.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
All right. What up? Welcome to another week of Manifestations 2020. I am your host with my co-host, Major and Drake. Anthony Malcolm in the building.
What's good, though?
What's good,
once again,
fellas?
it's on.
You already know. It's on and popping. All right. So I definitely wanted to definitely give a shout out to my boy Wayne Williams. I did a podcast interview earlier. It's pretty dope. You guys could see it on IG. It's what's his name of his? I want to get his podcast straight. I Talk Great podcast. Let me make sure, before my homeboy kill me. Where is it? I Talk Great podcast. So I was right. I Talk Great podcast on IG. That's I Talk TALK Grey GREY podcast. So you guys can check it out. Check him out. Super dope interview. He had me talking about, just various topics, from Trump all the way to, just the history of white supremacy and what we could do as people and the mindset, just overall, man. It was just a great interview. Like I said, you guys can check it out. It's on, you can either go on his page or my page. It's tagged to both of our pages, More Empowerment Radio. And you guys will check it out, and you guys could give me feedback and tell me what you think. Got a lot of subscribers that he has off his page that been hitting and following me now. A lot of them said they love what it is. And shout out to Jill Tracy. Jill Tracy was on the live. She was in the audience.
Okay.
And when I was talking, she kept saying, "Man, fire, that's dope. He's preaching," So shout out to Jill Tracy for recognizing brother out here spitting knowledge and game and co-signing it. So that's what I did earlier. I know that's why kind of running a little show a little bit late, but that's pretty much what I got into. So what you guys fellas, what y'all had on y'all agenda for today or this week?
Man, I just been working. Just working, bro. Like working triple overtime, you dig? Trying to get things together, gearing up for my trip to Houston soon. For those of y'all that don't know, me and the wife, we've been planning relocation. You know what I'm saying? We're planning to relocate, and we're planning to relocate either to Georgia or Texas, more than likely.
Yeah.
So we're going out there to do some recon in Houston, and that trip is coming up the week of August 2nd. We're gonna head out there. So we get ready to do some stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go check that out and see what's good. We're really looking forward to that. So we're gonna spend a couple of days there.
That's dope. That's dope.
That's what's up. Been low key on my end, not a whole lot shaking. I actually not a major one, but I did suffer an injury about a couple of weeks ago. So I've been on the mend with that. It kind of upended some plans that I had for that actual weekend. So the main thing on my agenda has been just getting myself back to 100% healthy. So just due diligence, rehab type exercises, cryotherapy, compression therapy. Been making really good friends with my local sauna and everything. So and of course getting good rest and quality food, letting food be the medicine. So just back to basics, just really taking that time to really also rehab the mind as well too. So I've been using a lot of the opportunity to do some more reading, do some more studying as well. So that's what's been on my plate for the most part, and also getting ready to make some additional moves or some interesting things that's been happening career-wise or professional-wise. So this half of the year is going to be pretty interesting for a number of reasons, but I'm with it, and I'm making sure, as always, we one of the things we preach on this show is we preach staying ready and being prepared. So whatever way the landscape's shifting, I'm doing my best to make sure that I got a foot on either side, so I'm not caught lacking in any capacity. So end of the year is going to be interesting. Going to look to see how everything plays out, but one thing for certain, I will be on top.
Nice.
That's what's up.
You want to be on top? Nice. That's what's up, man. We love to see, we love to see our brothers always excelling, because every day that's what you're supposed to be doing, is excelling, being a better version of yourself every day. That's one of the things I talked about on the podcast was I was giving different people that I've been around since the the birth of their career as far as what they ventured off into. And one of the things that I talked about was the fact that when they came around me, you know, they had the vision of what they wanted to do, and I encouraged them to do what they needed to do in that space, and it took off for them. But like I said, that's not a credit to me. That's their ambition and what their goals that they wanted to do for themselves. I was just the motivational piece that was the supportive end of it that, you know, pushed them into the direction they were already heading into in the first place. So sometimes you have to have, you know, a strong foundation around you in order for you guys to basically flourish in life. It's always good to have good friends around you, professionals and mentors, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we was dialing down in that. I started to go real deep on that and the importance behind that, you know. So definitely, man. Congrats on that. So we have our show this week. It's the hot topic. We just wanted to do the weekly topics for this week that we saw was trendy. A lot of it that we was looking at out there, a lot of it that's out there today is kind of, have a lot of people up in the roar and up in having a lot of discussions, I should say. I think one of the things that's a hot topic was the Trump situation. But the other hot topic that we wanted to talk about tonight was Divorce in Black. It was a movie that just came out with Tyler Perry movie with Megan Good and our boy Corey Hardrick. A lot of people had mixed reviews. Some people said it was good. Some people said it was horrible. So tonight we're going to break down some of that, and we're going to just do an overall whole of what we thought and our takes on it, because it's important for us to start watching films and analyzing it for what it is, because you have to take out the agendas. Because a lot of times people out here, as much as we think people have common sense and have their own mind and brain to do what they need to do, there's a lot of people out there that just go based on what is told to them or what they see. So they definitely have to have people to break it down for them, because their mind doesn't explore in different perspectives, or doesn't explore enough for them to see what the real agenda behind these films and the music and the propaganda, you know, that is basically aimed towards them, and not only them, towards their children as well. That's why you have a lot of people, you're starting to see a lot more adults monitor their children's cartoon activities and the children's network a little bit more, because now they're starting to feel the propaganda within the children as well. So it's very important for us to analyze it and globally together just start to remove the trash and highlight it, pinpoint it, and let other people realize what's going on so they can remove the trash as well. So we do a good job here at Manifestations by giving you guys that total overview, so that you guys have a better way to support and protect your household in the same breath. So with that being said, I did want to start off today by acknowledging Dr. Umar will be in Miami Gardens July 27th at 12 p.m. My thing is, I've been reaching out to Dr. Umar since he was last year, but man, his phone, man, it's always send a message to the text message, and we'll text message you back, or SMS message. I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on with it, but I definitely I know when he's in town, he normally likes to go around and do a lot of podcast interviews or a lot of radio interviews. So I definitely wanted to get in contact with him before he gets down here, because we would love to have if we get a Manifestation and Dr. Umar, man, that is going to take all the way off. So I'm trying to do my best to do that. Huh? Go ahead. What you saying?
No, that'd be crazy. I was just agreeing. That'd be insane.
That would be insane, right? So definitely check out Dr. Umar this July 27th in Miami Gardens at 12. So with that being said, let's get off into our first topic for tonight. We definitely want to break down Divorce in Black, right? So a lot of you guys that's out there, hopefully a lot of y'all seen it. It was a good amount of people on my timeline that's seen it. And they were basically, you know, raving and reviewing about it. So before we get down into the videos that I have, Major, you wanted to just say your synopsis on it and what you saw, and let us know, you know, your pros, cons, or whatever you have for it.
Oh man, he must be stopped. That's what I came up with at the end of the day. Tyler Perry is getting worse as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was not in any way, shape, or form a movie that was uplifting in any capacity. It had very few redeeming values. Anthony, you and I had a conversation about it, and you were able to basically, you know, I can agree with the fact that it's a good piece to talk about, but that don't make it a good movie. You know what I'm saying? It's just too many plot holes, too many things that don't make sense, too much over the top cooning, just too much. All of Tyler Perry's movies lately have been like a minstrel show. Not to say that they haven't always been kind of like a minstrel show. Some people, like Spike Lee, used to criticize his movies back in the day, you know, as minstrel shows, and we kind of went at Spike for that. We wasn't feeling the way that, you know, he was coming at him. But when you start to really examine the layers of what he does, that's exactly what it is, you know. And I'm not. If this would have been a movie that was at the movie theaters, you could count on me to stay home. The only reason I watched it is because it was free.
Yeah.
And because I also, like you said, because I knew that there was some things that I could extract from the movie that I knew I could teach from for a fact, because of the fact that it's Tyler Perry. And there's a certain formula for a Tyler Perry movie. You know, you always gonna have the ain't shit black man. You're always gonna have the perfect black woman. The perfect, in air quotes, the perfect black woman and the ain't shit black man. And she's always gonna be so distraught that she cheats and goes and finds another black man who's usually a light-skinned nigga with good hair. And that black man is going to save her from all the errors of what she's done in her life and her poor choices. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a running joke at this point. You know, there's always going to be some over-the-top ass action that takes place that makes absolutely no sense. Always, you can set your watch by it. You can bet your paycheck on it. In a Tyler Perry movie, some over-the-top action, it just don't make no sense. It's always going to be there. And just other things, you know, glaring potholes, especially with the men. The black men in Tyler Perry movies are always unnecessarily mean and evil and just rude and disrespectful. They practically eat rice and pasta with their hands. I mean, this is the type of people that he writes into these scripts, and it's like, dude, enough already. I'm just done with Tyler Perry movies. You know what I'm saying? It was awful. It was worse. Nah, it wasn't worse than Mea Culpa, but it was close, and that's saying a lot, because Mea Culpa is the second worst movie I've ever seen in my life, and that's bad. Like, Tyler Perry's last three movies are the top of two of them are on the list of worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Tyler Perry does not hire writers. That's the problem. Tyler Perry writes on a second grade level. You know what I'm saying? Bruh, you got the money to do it. Bring in some writers, because people have been complaining about, you know, his lack of ideas and, you know, his lack of imagination for movies now. But he just intends on running in place. He's stubborn. He's just intent on running in place and stagnating and never growing in his capacity to write, and it's just killing his movies. It was trash. There's no nice way to say it. It was trash. Basura! That shit was garbage. Fuck that. What you want me to say?
No, you're right. You're right. You are absolutely right. I've never been a fan of Tyler Perry like that, because I will say there is one movie that I really rave a lot, and I always say that was probably one of the realest and best movies he ever did, was The Family That Prays.
It was decent.
Yeah, I think that was his best movie to me. That's
about it. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. But you know, somebody that has a over 200-acre studio, you would think that they would produce better movies than that. And it just goes to show you that Black people can be elevated just to be an extra highlighted agenda piece. So, you know, it's crazy because you're not showing anything outside of the same, you know, writing, you know, and it becomes now, you know, do you hate men? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's crazy when women run around here and you say things on social media and they say, oh, you hate women. But nobody comes out and says, yo, Tyler Perry, all the stuff you do against men, do you hate men? You know, there's no defense for that. You know what I'm saying? Anything that goes in the sense of the direction of a woman, the first thing they say is, oh, you hate women. Nobody comes to our defense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I definitely agree on that. You had anything to add, Bobby, onto that? What your thoughts was?
Typically, I don't make it a practice to watch Tyler Perry films because I know 9.9 times out of 10 what I'm getting. It's going to be anti-Black misandry being presented. It's going to be a bunch of buffoonery in some cases. And I think I've said it before. I'll keep saying it. No matter what, I will never forgive him. Never for ruining Alex Cross. Never. Tyler Perry got to come see me about that. Me and him, we got some fisticuffs to get into. That man ruined one of the most powerful literary characters of my childhood. He got to see me, on God. However, for discussion and context purposes, I will watch the movie, but and the only reason I will do so is because actually, not even recently, today, actually encountered, and shout out again, I don't think that brother doesn't get nearly enough credit. Big ups to Dr. Tiasan Johnson, who's definitely one of the leading voices and one of the pioneers in the field of Black masculinity studies. Very much needed, highly essential. The funny thing is I actually discovered these two things probably within 15 minutes of each other, and it's amazing how quickly I was even able to apply it. So what the good doctor has done, and I definitely also want to big up his YouTube channel, The Onyx Report. Definitely advise everyone to go ahead and to subscribe to that channel. That brother is doing amazing work out there. And unfortunately, most great people, it's probably not going to be really acknowledged until after he's no longer with us. But for those who want to go ahead and give greatness its flowers while it's here, go ahead, follow that brother on Facebook. Go ahead and support his YouTube channel. Go ahead and support Black masculinity studies. Highly essential. But what the brother's done is he also, in his spare time, and he uploads it to his YouTube channel, I believe, he also does film study and analysis from a Black masculinity perspective. And he analyzes films, new and old, and chops down the way Black masculinity is presented. And he actually has taken the labor of creating a very highbrow test that he's dubbed the Onyx Media Test. And it's inspired by the Bechdel-Wallace test. So the Bechdel-Wallace test was a test that was developed back in, I think, the late 70s, early 80s, where basically it determines or it evaluates the presentation of women in media, how women are portrayed, how frequently they're placed in content, and what purpose they serve in whatever content they're in. So this is the flip side. This analyzes how Black males in television, film, and online and other narrative content are presented. And without going too deep into each one, there's 17 criteria. So there's 17 different questions to ask. And for each one, you assign either a 0 if the answer is no, and you assign a 1 if it's a yes. And of course, the higher it is to 17, it's the worse the media is in terms of projecting or displaying Black masculinity. So the test questions whether media production has at least 2 Black males who engage in the following. So the first question is, do they dress and look like everyday Black males, not as aliens, pets, animals, etc.? The reason for this is that there are times when the only way they're allowed to be present is if their presence is obscured and otherized. So two great examples of that would be the movies Predator and Alien. And both those movies, classic movies, what most people may not even know is that you actually had black people starring in both. You had a black man starring as the antagonist. It was a black man who played the Predator. That was Kevin Peter Hall. And then you had a black man who played the alien in Alien, Bolaji Badejo.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that
But
either.
you wouldn't even know that. And those films can say they had black men starring in main character roles in the films, but they weren't black men. They were creatures. They weren't even regular villains. They were otherized.
I can see the Predator though, because the Predator had dreadlocks, so that would be
and they kind of played into that as well too. That's not suspicious at all either. But
correct.
Second question is: are they criminals for reasons that have nothing to do with the story? A good example would be Lorenz Tate and Ludacris's characters in Crash. Third question is: are they at odds with each other because of their hyper dedication to white or female characters? Fourth question is: are they incapable of acknowledging each other peaceably, even as enemies? So a great example of that would be Lawrence Fishburne and Clarence Williams III, rest in peace, in the film Hoodlum. So they were enemies. They couldn't even acknowledge each other civilly. So you see a lot of these like Italian mobster movies or whatever, where there's beef between the crime families, but they're able to, deal with each other in a respectful manner, even if they're trying to undercut each other, or even if there's a common threat to each other, they're able to come together and work together to resolve the common threat. Do they show black antagonists with each other in the same way? Fifth question is: are they represented as one-dimensional characters who can only express anger, or are they human beings with backstories that inform their behavior as they display the full spectrum of emotions, including vulnerability? There's a lot of that where you can see that in the movie Creed, for example, in Creed 3. You see a lot of vulnerability. You see the backstories with, Apollo.
Yeah,
where you have Adonis.
When he went, he talked about how how he saved him, but then he didn't come back, and that's how he lost his boxing career. So the backstory on that, right?
Right. So you see our brother Jonathan in that film, he was big ball of anger, but they actually gave a backstory so you can see how he got to be that way. He didn't just come out the blue in this state. Number 6 is what he calls the Stephen effect. Is there a character who possesses an unexplained amount of dedication to white or female characters, or can he demonstrate will, intellect, and choice as a self-defined character with his own self-directed purpose? Like I said, Stephen from Django or Finn from Star Wars, always bucking after white male character. Ray! That nonsense.
Yeah.
7, the Mandingo effect. Is there a character who is solely driven by sex, especially to the point of rape or violence? You want to talk about Tyler Perry films? Excellent example would be Temptation. Robbie Jones playing the character Harley in that film. Perfect example right there. Number 8, the Worf effect. And that's Worf is in the...
I wanted to say real quick, didn't Michael Ealy have a kind of a passion, a stalkerish, rapist passion?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, he did an amazing job in that film, as you expect from Michael Ealy. But it was still disturbing to have him cast in that light.
Correct.
Then 8, there's the Worf effect, as in the Star Trek character. They ask, is there a character who is physically dominated, beaten up, or often outsmarted by whites or female characters? Is he used as a prop merely to highlight whites or female characters' physical, moral, or intellectual superiority? Again, based off of Star Trek, there's the Geordie LaForge effect. Is there a character who is emasculated or emasculates himself for the benefit of white or female characters, thus revealing a subservient or inferior sense of self? Or is he either physically or intellectually gifted, but wholly incapable in a fundamental way as it relates to pair bonding with women? So in other words, he might be, I think a great example that would be a lot of The Rock's characters. So if you've seen the films that The Rock plays, and he's normally this strong, muscular hero, brave, he's able to fight, take on all the dudes, but you've never seen him cast with a female love interest. He may have a child, for example, in the movie San Andreas, I think, where he's the firefighter, so he has a child, but you don't see him actually interacting with women in a romantic way, even though he's an obvious Hollywood heartthrob. He never gets to get the girl. He's even put in a position where he has a girl.
True.
He's just a eunuch. Number 10, the Mr. effect from The Color Purple. Is there a character who's represented as an abuser or rapist of whites or female characters with no backstory, context, or character-driven history or rationale? In other words, does he behave as though, he's just this evil person because that's his nature? That's how he was born. The super predator type deal. The magical Negro effect. Is there a character who spends most of the story overly catering to white or female characters, especially without context or explanation, to the point of not being human? In other words, does he use supernatural means to serve others while the audience is told nothing about his own humanity or motivations? The Shining effect. Is there a character who is represented as a martyr who gives his life for white or female characters as a convenient plot device, but not in a way that explains why he would do so? The Cowardly Lion effect. Is there a character who is unduly afraid beyond other characters for no verifiable reason? Does fear govern his decision-making and overall temperament? You can think of the Cowardly Lion from The Wiz. Again, Finn, John Boyega in Star Wars. Number 14, and this one I think you see a lot of recently especially. There's the Oswald Hotep Bates effect. So is there a character whose black consciousness is used to ridicule black males who espouse such views mislabeled as overly woke or as tinfoil kufi wearers? Here, the ridicule and vilification of black males who possess a sense of racial pride is made a joke distinct for black men in media. So you have a lot of different characters that would fit that mold nowadays or have been turned into that. Then you have the Black Manosphere effect. Is there a character who is driven almost exclusively by nonviolent misogynist or homophobic views rooted in traditional male-female gender role talking points? 16, there's the I'm not a racist proxy effect. Is there a character whose only purpose is to ensure that his white friend or companion is not racist? He has little substance and virtually no background story. He's usually the only black character. And last but not least, you have the Falcon effect. Most particularly in the superhero genre, is there a character who serves as a sidekick whose capabilities are often a product of a white or female character's generosity? Do they glean their moral or technical skills from their heroic mentors? So, perfect example would be Captain America and Falcon, right? So you got Captain America and his boy Sam Wilson, Falcon, but basically there's nothing remarkable about Falcon, and anything great about him, he's basically learned everything from his white mentor, Steve Rogers. So when I go and I watch that film, and I'll probably give an update next week, but I'm going to go watch the film, and I'm going to be spending close attention, checking off every single box if it applies or not, and I'm going to go ahead and give my own score based on that grading scale on how I find Tyler Perry's film to be. I don't have. I'm pretty positive it's going to be a high score. Might even be a 20 out of 17, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, that's what's up. So, as you know, for the people that seen it last night, there was a lot of characters that people were talking about. I mostly saw a lot of commentary about Corey Hart, Corey's character, which is Dallas. They talked about how, it's kind of funny because they both the main characters, Corey and Megan Good, they went through divorces in real life. And it's funny how people condemn Corey because he did such a good job. They're saying that, this stuff was in him from before. Now it puts him in a light of like, was he really like this with Tia? You know what I'm saying? And it's so crazy how people just correlate that to that. And then when it come to Megan Good, they didn't throw Megan Good in that light like that. They just said she did a real good job acting-wise. She's always done a good job acting-wise, but they never correlate her divorce into her real life. You know what I'm saying?
Of course not.
In the movie, they never correlated her divorce in the movie to real life. You know what I'm saying?
Not a man.
Huh?
She's not a man.
Yeah. So they that was very strange to me. But you know what was crazy about that scenario is that Megan Good actually was more of a villain than Corey was. You know what I'm saying? If you really look at it, because in her real life, she dated a pastor. You know what I'm saying? And you failed a pastor. Corey did what he did. There was speculations that he cheated, and that wasn't even anything that was verifiable. But, you know, just the fact that his wife felt like it was something different, you know, watching every other person, you know, flourish is always a temptation of women, always feeling like it's another boundary out there, it's another life out there, it's more greener grass out there. Even Boris Cujo's wife came out and was saying something about, you know, she feel like, I don't know if she said in the words of being single again or not that much, but feel like, you know, being back in the field or the pool like that. And it kind of like was a coded way of saying that, you know. And then people started to be like, yo, what was that about? You know, you were in a wonderful relationship. For you to feel left out, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. But with Megan, you know, I just felt like in her situation, you know, you would have thought like as a man that's settling down that she would have more of, you know, an accountability on that versus the Corey thing. But in the movie, people just flipped it around and made it seem like Corey is a villain in the movie and in real life. And I didn't think that was fair for Corey to receive that type of backlash. But I am glad that he did do a phenomenal job in the movie. So I want to show a couple of videos real quick and we could dissect them. This is from the movie. So we'll start with the first scene. All right. So that's the first video. What's your take on that scene?
Just more Tyler Perry dumb shit. What am I supposed to say about that? Like, you know, like there's so much. Part of the issue with Tyler Perry and critiquing his films, because you know I like to keep shit short.
Yeah.
But dude, it's just too much. There's so much wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's hard for me to stay inside my time constraints. Like, bruh, first of all, just on a very simplistic level, why we always got to have a mammy character in a movie? Why is that? A loud, boisterous, overweight eyesore of a black woman. Why do we always have to have that in a movie? Every Tyler Perry movie you have, even if it's him that's the mammy, you got a mammy in every Tyler Perry movie.
Correct.
Bruh, it's just, it drives me out of my mind. And then Megan Good, you know, no shade to her. She's playing a role. She's going with wardrobe, whatever the case may be. What decent woman you know wears a dress like that to a funeral? That's another thing. Okay, I could go on all day, but I'm just trying to get the main points. Mm-hmm. Like I told you in our conversation that we had, you know, off air. Mm-hmm. In Tyler Perry movies, the men, their brains just fall right out of their head as soon as a woman speaks. You know, the mammy, in all her glorious ignorance, starts stripping down to her skimmies and cussing in the church. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Starts stripping down to her skimmies and cussing in the church. I've seen that thing happen working in the funeral industry. I've never seen it. I'm sorry, but okay. But she strips down to her skimmies. She starts cussing people out in the church. And then she orders her sons to go and get the body because she's had it up to here with these Negroes, you know, talking down to her son, telling the truth, mind you, at his funeral. And so she says, oh, get the body. So who gets up in the middle of a funeral and tells people who are there to go get the body? And then they go to get the casket. No, she says, take the body. So these boys are carrying a dead body out of the church. And people do that? Really, Tyler? That was, like I said in the beginning of this, there's always some over-the-top, nonsensical scene that just don't make no sense in a Tyler Perry movie, and that was it for this one. I mean, me and my wife, we just laughing because we're like, let's just watch it just to laugh. And once we put ourselves in that frame of mind, we were okay because we knew the bullshit was coming. That was some bullshit, bro. Like, it was one of the worst scenes I've ever seen in a movie in my life. It made no sense. And, you know, you would think that some people, even if that was the way that the mother felt, you know, and she felt like she had to act that way. You see how she was over the top and coonish. Other people, somebody, she has 4 sons.
Yeah.
One of them would have been like, no, what are you talking about? Somebody would have had some pushback. But just because you have this angry, boisterous, ghetto-ass woman screaming at the top of her lungs, everybody has to conform to what she thinks we should do and do it.
Yeah.
That's the problem I have with Tyler Perry movies. In a scene, that's the problem I have with Tyler Perry movies. That type of dumb shit we just saw. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. He writes on a second grade level, and I feel like I'm insulting the average second grader when I say that. Real talk. God damn.
It's just so much cringe, man.
Dude.
I can't. It's impossible for me to watch what he puts out and not just be grimacing and just
real talk.
Yeah.
Screwing up my face and stuff. It's just
Who
like
does that?
I feel like I'm watching a train wreck. Like I see the car broken down on the tracks. I'm looking at the Bright Line train of the Amtrak that's like maybe 500 feet away, and I'm just like going back and forth, and it's like, so y'all can't move? Y'all not gonna move? And right when the train is up on the car, I don't want to see it, but I just can't take my eyes off it. It's so horrible, I can't stop watching. It's like it's highly watchable for all the wrong reasons.
There you go.
And the real tragedy of this is, the sad part is, this man was able to ride his way to $1 billion net worth off of this garbage.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Wearing skirts and dresses, cosplaying as an old trope of a black woman, and this kind of garbage content.
Yeah.
That's the formula for becoming a billionaire.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a national tragedy.
It is.
No different than a drug dealer.
Yeah. Really. Yeah.
And the other scary part is you have, and I've seen this, and that's what really has just made me want to slam my head into a wall repeatedly. I've actually seen people trying to justify this, saying like, girl, you know, my husband was the exact same way. That's exactly how these men are.
What? Which man? Which man?
Your husband was like this.
Like which
no, just
man?
in general. Like they'll say like, usually abuse, like these super hyper abusive men in his films, or whatever. They'll say, "See, you got to get away from those men." That's all they do. Like, man, first and foremost, if you were able to find a man that is in the same category as him, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
If you were out here hanging around or attracting Tyler Perry tropes, that doesn't say anything about men. That means you need to sit down in a dark corner for a few hours.
Yeah.
And really pray and fast and figure out what have you been doing horrible with your life.
Right, because why are you attracting that? That's real. And the solution is easy. Just leave.
You found a fairy tale creature and you took it home, gave it a bath, and said, stay for a little bit. That's you, mama.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But you can't make this stuff up. I also thought that it was highly messy of him to go ahead and get, now, Megan Good as an actress, Corey Hardrict is an actor. There's nothing messy about getting them to be actors or to go ahead and get paid roles. That's their job.
Right.
And they're competent actors and actresses. They should be able to go ahead and get roles. To put them in these kind of roles where they're in these lights, given the very public nature of the divorces, I feel was irresponsible as a director.
Okay.
Now, say what you want about it. Tyler is a businessman. They're also business people as well too. At the same time, let's be honest. We understand that this is media content that is really made for us, like it or not. Tyler isn't making these films and marketing them towards Filipinos. He's not marketing them towards Indians. He's not marketing towards white people. He's marketing them to black people. This is
Right.
this would be considered black content, and he's using primarily black actors and actresses, which of course I will always tip my hat to him for. Absolutely. With that being said, you also, I feel, have a duty to your constituents. If these are your people, if you're doing this for us, then I think it's important that you have your people's best interests in mind.
Well,
You know what has been out here for both those individuals and their exes, respectively. The conversations that's going around. You may be in a Hollywood, but you're not that out of touch with what's being said in the streets and on social media. It's messy to go ahead and put Corey in a situation where he's portrayed as this kind of individual to generate that kind of conversation from the bird brain people among us.
Right.
You know, it's disingenuous to put Megan in that situation, given the history and everything. Like you said, the way she presented herself, a former pastor's wife, and all this other nonsense. It's messy. But again, maybe I just have a higher standard for us and for black people. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I'm at a different tier than where Tyler is in that regard. I don't know. But for me, that would never have occurred if I had the creative juices behind that.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick, I do want to say Fallon says that we're one-sided and very opinionated on that, and so I put the link in there. Anybody that want to jump on, you can jump on and let us know, because, like I said, we're operating through text. I'd rather you jump on. We bring you up on stage. You can have your camera on. You can have your camera off. It's up to you. But I want to have a dialogue so I can understand your perspectives, because we're not one-sided. We're just letting you know what the agenda is, you know, and the fact of it that you being a woman and saying it's one-sided lets us know that you don't have empathy towards men. And if you do have empathy towards men, then click the link and jump on and explain yourself in a more better way. You know what I'm saying? But to say that we are one-sided, that's false. We're not one-sided. We hold everybody accountable. And we're going by clips, you know.
The way we look at things isn't necessarily the only way to look at things. These are three individuals who are giving their perspectives, and of course we're opinionated. That's the point of what we're doing. We're giving our opinions. We're giving our takes on it. I don't know how we could really, realistically speaking, I don't know how we can give a perspective that we don't have. You know, this is what I'm seeing. You know, I can't go and give Fallon's perspective on it because I'm not Fallon. I don't know what you've seen. I don't know what your background is. We're speaking from what we've seen in other places as well as this, and we're saying that this is an overall picture that's being drawn. All right? So it's not that we're just being one-sided. We're seeing the side that we see. I don't know what you want us to talk about. We know that there are manipulative and deceptive people out there. However, we're saying that there's a way to go about doing things, and when you also are only showing one side of this is different. And it's not that we're just taking it from men. We also we're looking out for women too, because again, the first thing we talked about was how they portrayed that sister as a mammy. They had this stereotypical black woman.
I'm gonna bring her up real quick.
Oh, she's looking to us? That's what's up.
Yeah, go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, hi.
What up, Fallon? What's good?
What's going on?
What's up, Fallon? Welcome to Manifestations.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, you throwing spears at us. Come on,
No, well, it's not necessarily spears and stuff. I made the comment that it was very when you make the statement that ladies kind of find guys that were portrayed in the movie. You ever heard of what's the saying? A lion in sheep's clothing? Guys are like that. They find women that are very good women and try to make it seem like they're this and they're that. And then when they get that woman, everything changes and they manipulate them for a while. Reason I say that, I feel like, I don't know, Anthony, if you saw my post yesterday, this movie really triggered me because I lived that life. For 5 years, I lived that life. And it was like his family was in his ear. Family, friends, whatever. They were in his ear. He was trying to please them while mistreating me at the same time. And it was nothing I did. It was just as the actor the role that Megan played. She was a very good woman. Did everything she could for this man. Same thing here. I'm from Miami. I lived in Texas. Couldn't nobody tell you, oh, I knew her such and such, such and such. I moved to Texas in 2016. Anything that somebody told this man about me, he went with that story. Didn't have receipts, didn't have anything. It wasn't even his mom. It was his stepmom that was in his ear about different things about me and couldn't tell you nothing about me. I'm very educated, so it wasn't one of those, oh, she one of those ghetto girls, one of these hood girls. Anthony, you know where I live. Was I raised in the ghetto? No.
No.
So it was more so of you have people that's out here that's looking to manipulate people. And the number one word I can give you was a narcissist. And that's exactly what the role that Dallas portrayed. He was narcissist. He asked for the okay, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say real quick. Were you raised in a 2-parent household?
I was up until the age of 14 when my dad passed.
Okay. So when your dad was alive, did your dad give you a lot of great game and a lot of knowledge on how to deal with men and what to look out for with men?
Of course he did. And then all the men in my life, like my uncles, my brother, the people I grew up in the church, the way that the pastor treated his wife. Everybody, I knew exactly what to do. As far as when she made the statement, she was always raised to love her husband, make the marriage work, do that. I did the same thing. It was a lot of stuff that I didn't tell my mom because I knew my mom was sending my brother and my cousins and my uncles my way if they knew what was going on.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so you have the identical, almost identical story.
I really do. That's what, and like I said, last night it really triggered me when I watched this movie because I'm like, damn, I live this lifestyle. And
So
then
part- No, I was gonna say part of it was in the movie. Megan Good, she was raised in a good area like you. Her family was into the church like you. And remember, her dad was very knowledgeable and they had a great marriage that she had a prime example to follow. Now, what people don't understand is in the movie, everybody was telling her not to deal with Dallas, right?
Yep.
But let me tell you something, and I want you to be honest with me. Do you feel, and this goes for both men and women, but mostly in women, do you feel that a lot of women have a savior syndrome?
I would say not a lot of them. They don't. I'm gonna go with that one. They don't. But the thing about it is, what's crazy about that is that same ex-husband that I had, my mama told me not to marry him, and I did it anyways. Because just like she said, she felt like she could change him, make things better, and do all that other stuff. And I had to learn the hard way. When you don't listen, you reap the consequences of what you did for not listening. And it took me 5 years. I'm not the type to say, oh, I got away because I stayed that long because I didn't have nowhere to go. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I've always been raised to have my own, to stand firm on my own 2 feet.
Correct.
That's how my mom raised me after my dad passed. So it wasn't like I didn't have that structure. I didn't have to depend on nobody.
Correct. But let me ask you this question though, because I don't want to get too far away from that. But when you deal with a lot of women, because I'm only, when I say things, I know the national statistics of what I speak on. So when I say that, I'm asking you, when you overall, I think of all the women you know, the women you don't know, what you see on social media, whatever the case may be, do you see more women complaining about building up a man, or do you see a lot of women complaining about men that's already made that just messed up?
More so building up a man.
That's where the savior syndrome comes from. So
Right.
that's what I'm trying to tell you. So you see more of that, versus the other part. And a lot of times, like I said before, the savior syndrome, and it doesn't just happen with women. There's men out there that do that as well. But what it does is it cripples you. It damages you and destroys you, because when you're dealing with somebody, because most of those people are unhealed and they have issues. When you're a healed person, because you are basically solidified, you got yourself in order, and you're trying to a healed person trying to deal with an unhealed person with all type of issues and all that, it will cause you from going from healed to unhealed real quick, and they will end up damage you in the process. That's why you hear a lot of women say, I got damaged because of that whole process of trying to build this guy up. It mentally, physically, financially destroyed me.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? So that's why I say when it comes to accountability, and we're not trying to beat down on women or nothing like that, but a lot of times there's red flags. There's a lot of things that go on. You guys are now learning the word love bombing. There's a lot of love bombing that goes on, especially with narcissists. Love bombing and narcissists that go hand in hand. That's what they fuel off of. So there's a lot of red flags that a lot of women ignore, and then they come back on the back end and say, well, it wasn't like that, or it was no, because even when I dealt with my ex, there was a lot of red flags that I ignored, and some of it is due to infatuation as well. And we ignore these flags until these flags come back and burn us, what they say, hit us in the ass on the back end. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You fellas want to chime in and have anything that y'all want to say?
I mean, I was going to elaborate more on what Bobby said, just as far as regarding men, and speaking, unapologetically as we feel. That's something that we do on this show. Sure. Doesn't mean that other opinions are unwelcome, but when we speak specifically to Tyler Perry, this is not even universal. This is regarding Tyler Perry in this particular instance. Why we're going in so hard on Tyler Perry is not because we don't know that there are toxic men out there. Now, I don't know you, and I'm not going to try to speak on your situation. But I will say that broadly speaking, all women pretty much say the same thing that you said. I was the good woman. I was the great woman, which is what Tyler Perry's saying in the movie. I was the great woman. There was this toxic dude. We're not saying that cannot be true. However, in every movie this man makes, that's the dichotomy. And that's where the lie is, because that's not always the situation. Sometimes it is often not. And if it is the situation, again, like Anthony just pointed out, a lot of times sisters, unfortunately, will put themselves in that situation because they're ignoring the red flags and they're not doing the proper work and getting themselves out of those situations where they're dealing with these toxic men. They leave that part out. It's just man bad, woman good. And that's bullshit, and Tyler Perry constantly does this, and we're sick of it.
He preys off of it.
It's
really sick to be. If we're being honest and fair, it's sick.
It is.
There's a very real issue where, unfortunately, a lot of us in the community, it's not just the women, it's men as well, too. A lot of us are not properly taught how to date.
Right.
When it comes to dealing with and I don't know if that was your situation or not, but a lot of us, when we're coming up with girls, the narrative typically is, better not be talking to no boy. Or who's on your phone? You're not dating until you're 50 years old. You're going to be 60 years old, still not dating in my house. Mm-hmm. That's the narrative. Right. Women are scared away and deterred from dating when they're children. When they finally do start bringing boys, they're sneaking around or whatever. So the only instructions they have is boys are bad, boys are evil, they only want one thing. Leave them alone, don't talk to them. That's what's given to girls. Dudes are typically taught other nonsense. Sometimes it can be as extreme as you need to focus on them girls, leave them girls alone, focus on your studies. Or it's, go ahead, talk to them girls over there. As soon as he brings home a girl, that's my guy, yeah. That kind of nonsense. But there's never any actual instruction on how to date, what to look for. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of us are out here basically blindfolded, is just like a bird box. We're out here blindfolded, feeling in the dark, trying to figure it out, and we rack up a whole bunch of negative experiences. And what happens is we get comfortable with some of these choices that we make. We think that because we like certain things, that this is the way we need to go in. And sometimes the things we like are not good for us.
Often.
There's a reason why a lot of women, people period, this is men too, there's a reason why a lot of domestic violence survivors oftentimes find themselves getting in a relationship with another abuser, because there's a habit, there's a rut that they're stuck in. They haven't broken it yet, but because they're doing what they know, they keep getting the same results. It's not until you sit back, take a long hard look, get some therapy, or even just really analyze their behavior and start realizing, you know what? I've been doing A, B, C, and I keep on getting D. I got to stop that shit. That's not working for me. I need to try D, E, F. Let's see what that does. And so when we look at that, we understand that maybe the problem isn't that men are manipulative and toxic and bad, or men are horrible towards women. We start thinking maybe I've been looking at or targeting or going about the wrong way, and that's why I keep getting at this destination. There's a reason why I'm getting to the island of garbage men or garbage women over here, and I can't seem to get to the island of good men and good women over here.
Correct.
But that's not sexy for movie making.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of doing things to highlight that, or at least for God's sake, having general content, because I'm actually not even knocking necessarily some of these films. If Tyler wants to make a few of these films, that's fine. We can have diverse content. But if every movie that's coming out of your $1 billion studio is rinse, wash, repeat, if you've seen one, you've seen them all, something is wrong with that, especially if he's been able to ride this formula to $1 billion.
Right.
That's a bad look on us as a people.
It is a bad look. He's pandering. Go ahead, Adam.
No, I wanted to ask Fallon real quick. Can you think of a Tyler Perry movie that depicts Black love in a great light from start to finish?
I sure as hell can. Exactly. There you go.
But I look at it like this. It's to me personally, I'm a very movie critic. I dissect movies and try to see what's going on. And a lot of those movies that Tyler Perry does do, those are everyday lives that us as black individuals, period, was always supposed to hide or push under the rug. That's just like, give you an example with The Color Purple. That was a very dark movie. But we were told, in your household, what was it? What goes on at home stays at home, right? So a lot of the movies now that are coming out is giving the lives that we were always told to keep quiet. Or we were always told, hey, don't tell nobody that because we don't want this person coming up to our house, or we don't want this person judging us. A lot of these movies that are coming out these days, that's what it is. It's somebody, I'm not going to say whoever their writer is or whoever they're talking to about what's going on in everyday life, they're giving the life stories of the stuff that we've had to push to the back of our mind for so long. And I'm just telling that because that's what I'm seeing. Like those were a lot of those movies that Tyler Perry do come up with, a lot of them were very judgmental. Like you said, on black men. But you have black men that are out there like that. So now when you see these movies, a lot of women know what to look for. Be like, dang, Tyler, this movie that I watched dealing with such and such, such and such, did give me these red flags, so they know what to look for. But that's my opinion.
Okay, so let me ask you this. We've had slave movies from way back in the day, like before our time, right? And they're still making slave movies now. How much more slave movies do we need to make in order for us to understand that we don't need to be slaves anymore?
That I could never answer. Because it's more so of if you pay attention now, they're trying to take slavery out of the schools.
But they're still going to make the movies, though. They can take it out.
Right. They can take it out of the schools, but they still they're letting you know I know it's like peeling off a scab. You get off one, you get over one thing and then they bring you right back to it. I understand it. But as far as them just constantly bringing them up, yeah, I don't agree with that at all. But
that's what I'm saying. I'm only making that point to show you how many we can go. Okay, Color Purple was back in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Before Color Purple, there was movies that they were beating women in that go way back to the 70s, 60s, even 50s, right? Tell me something different that Tyler Perry is highlighting now that hasn't been broadcast in black depiction or exploitation that has been shown back in the 50s. Show me something now that somebody can learn from now that he's showing that nobody's shown before.
True.
So what I'm saying is, just like the slave movies, you don't need to be showing us any more slave movies, but the slave movies is propaganda for the racists, the whites, to say this is how you treat black people.
Black people.
So when you doing the same thing with the Tyler Perry movies, a lot of times we'll sit back and say, yeah, we want to show women how to avoid these situations, right? And I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that. I'll agree with that, right? But then on the opposite side of it, it's also programming men to be this type of guys because they get rewarded for that type of behavior. You see what I'm saying? It's the constant reward of a black man beating down a good woman. So if I keep seeing movies that show a horrible black man always getting the best woman in the damn movie, and if I see that in real life, I see multiple women that I know is top quality and they're dealing with low-life dudes, why should I be a good dude out here that ain't gonna get that type of woman when I could be an asshole and get that type of woman? So it also programs in that perspective as well. And that's why I say what we like to do is we like to highlight the perspectives, because one's perspective is shown and highlighted in the mass majority, while the other perspective is under the rug and is hidden on that side, and it's actually more worse that is hidden versus the one that is being shown in public. So that's all I wanted to really address.
So now tell me this, and either of you guys can answer. What is it more so, because you guys are males? Don't know you other two. I know Anthony for years. Now tell me this. When you ask a guy that's been in that situation like this, what's the first thing come out their mouth? Oh, I was raised in a single home, or I watched my mom get beat on by several different men. And then it's like it's a hall pass for them to treat women the way that they saw their parents. I mean, saw their dad or the mom's boyfriend or or someone of the such do their mom the same way they're doing their parents. I mean, doing the girls or the girlfriends that they're with. I'm not gonna say every relationship it's always, oh, the guy was just beating up on such and such. I got a friend, I'm not gonna name it. She was the Dallas in her relationship. But again, when I went and said the manipulation, her mom made it seem like she had done no wrong. She was always the one, oh, it's him, it's them. Siblings, same way. I had to stop hanging with her because the type of person she was. Like, I'm constantly, I was the one she called. Oh, this man done put his hands on me. Little long did you tell me that you done threw an iron at him on some more stuff, because you going looking for stuff that you don't really have the capability or the actions to even go, to find out what's going on. So when I ask that question, I'm meaning like, so give me the back end of what you think when a guy tells a woman, oh, I saw my daddy do it, so I'm doing it. Or I saw my mama's boyfriend beating on her, so they look at that like it's okay.
It's become normalized.
Yeah, it's become
Go ahead, jump on it, Mage.
I'll say it like this. It has become normalized. That's very unfortunate, and sometimes that does happen, but let's not paint with a broad brush, because there are a lot of brothers who are on the exact opposite end of that spectrum. Right. My grandfather, Ernest Campbell, is a prime example of that. He witnessed his father beat his mother. He would never lay hands on a woman. He wouldn't even discipline his own female child, my grandmother. He wouldn't even discipline her because he felt like, as a man, he was so strong that he might hit her in a way that may damage her internally, as she would not be able to reproduce correctly. Right. And this man had a third grade education. He was a janitor. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so he wasn't, he didn't have no Harvard education to boast of, whatever the case may be. But his interpretation of seeing, domestic abuse went in the totally opposite direction. And we don't talk about those brothers enough. Right. A lot of brothers are out here like that. So what I try to encourage people not to do is not to paint with a broad brush. Every situation is different. And like you said, your friend was the Dallas in her relationship, right? And her mother was Tyler Perry. Okay,
She was that
she
mom.
couldn't. Right, but her mother said that she couldn't do any wrong. Right?
That one
Yeah.
right there. Yes.
Her mom, right, and that mom represents Tyler Perry.
Because she was, oh my God, she
That
was
mom
rough.
represents Tyler Perry. Because Tyler Perry, the problem we're having here is that the gender bias says that this is only something that men do. It is not. There are as many toxic piece of shit women out there as there are men. You understand? And women and men actually even cheat at the same rate. So when people try to bring up that argument, we got the stats. No, we cheat at the same rate. Oh, men always cheat. No, we cheat at the same rate. And so what we're saying is, let's not paint with a broad brush and let's not project these negative stereotypes and have no balance in our films, our media. That's why the Jews are so sensitive about how they're portrayed in the media, because they realize how powerful media imagery is. You understand what I'm saying? And, there was a whole propaganda campaign before Hitler started killing all the Jews in Germany. The propaganda campaign came first. You demonize these people. You tell everybody that these people ain't shit. And then when you start harming them, nobody's going to say nothing. And it's the same thing here.
And bear in mind, that was a time when the only real media they had was just speeches,
right?
Newspaper clippings, and they had and radio. They didn't really have TV like that. So when you compare nowadays with actual TV productions, TV series, films, Tyler Perry's out here putting out whole films back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
How much more impact? Think about that for a second, because you have to look at that context back then. It wasn't that Hitler just conjured up a whole bunch of Nazis to go and take out the Jewish people. He also got these people's neighbors, their friends, co-workers, people they went to church with, people they shopped in their businesses and they shopped at their businesses. They got people who knew and grew up with these other people from childhood to flip and turn on them and even to champion their deaths and their killings. With basically just a voice and a print image. So what is being done, and to what extent now, when you have whole media productions showing this in color, people are actors and actresses that you like and that you're looking at and everything, that are demonstrating these things and they're making huge multi-million-dollar paydays off of it.
Right. The broader point I'm making, to Bobby's point, the broader point that I'm making, not only is what Tyler Perry doing irresponsible and selfish, it is ultimately very dangerous. You understand? The white supremacists that hate us, they use imagery of us in the media to demonize us and justify the reason why they harm us. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the larger picture. This is why we're always on Tyler Perry's ass, because, you keep doing this because it's enriching you and you're only thinking about you. You know what I'm saying? And you're really shitting on black men and black women as well, because there are plenty of black women in this picture that are not depicted in the best way. And I understand that films need conflict. Every character can't be perfect. We get that. But for Tyler Perry, it's just way over the top and it's way too broad, and he's not very responsible with the way that he goes about writing. That's why we always talk about how he needs writers. He needs to bring in writers, because a true writer can give you that type of balance where you can give this guy, you can make this guy edgy, but not make him a degenerate. And if you're going to make one of them degenerate, don't make all of them degenerate. And then the ones that are not degenerate, they have no backbone, like the girlfriend's husband. You know what I'm saying? So this is the problem.
He's actually the quintessential example of being one-sided. Because if you look at his whole body of work, it really reads and speaks as a person that has unresolved trauma and damage. He's basically replaying a variation of the same scene over and over and over again, and that speaks to his pain that he hasn't dealt with. If you look at all the other prolific media creators out there, just look at the authors. You look at Stephen King, you look at your James Pattersons or whatever. Two very prolific authors, and who've also had their work turned from books into actual media productions. Stephen King is niche. He does horror. He doesn't do drama. He doesn't do comedy. He does horror. He has countless different horror books that he's written, horror movies that have been made with different characters. Now it's all horror, but it's different types of characters, different backgrounds, different everything. Same with James Patterson. He has series that he's written, but he's also been able to do children's books. He's done dramas. He's collaborated with different artists. They have their niches, but there's a lot of growth and expansion in their work. There is no growth whatsoever in Tyler Perry's repertoire. If you look when he started day one to where he is now, it's basically one long reel that never ends. And it's also very one-sided again. So let's go along with what you said before, that Tyler Perry is casting a light on the shadows that we try to cover up and hide or whatnot and not expose. That's actually a very important work to do. If that's the aim, kudos to him. But like we pointed out, like you also acknowledged, we also have women that can be just as toxic and devious and manipulative and destructive as some of these men out here. There's a whole bunch of the same way how if you talk to women, a lot of them can give you horror stories about men they've dealt with. There are a lot of brothers out here that can give horror stories about women and sisters that they've dealt with as well too. Where is Tyler Perry's films dedicated towards that? Why is he not showcasing images where men can look at it and say, you know what, this is good, this is what we can use to find out what the red flags of women are? That's not being put out there. And if he did that, it would create a much different picture. The picture that Tyler Perry's putting out there now is that black men are the problem.
Right. And
that's the summary. If black men got together, the community would be much better. If he were to do equal coverage where he's showing women in the same light, that women are the problem and that men need to be able to move differently in order to avoid this, then we get a different picture where we can understand, you know what? We have a lot of work to do as a community. We need to come together and get better. Instead, what his films are showing is that if we can just put men over there in a box, everything will be better.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why we have this gender warring going on back and forth.
Right.
I look at it like this too, because the media also, not just Tyler Perry, but the media in general puts black men or men in general in a box by themselves based off of, if you find you got a domestic situation, right? What's the first thing they show? Oh, the man, the boyfriend or the husband killed the girlfriend or the wife. So that's all you see all day long.
Yeah.
But I go back to something you said, Anthony, when you was talking about the slavery movies and all this other stuff. These new age kids can't tell you nothing that went on in the 80s or the 90s. So all they're getting now is, social media is the highlight of everybody's life right now. Well, the new generation. So what they're seeing is, I asked my class, I teach middle school. I asked my class, I was like, well, have y'all ever seen The Color Purple? What's that? Oh, the one with Fantasia? No, the one before that. Or have you ever seen it was something else that came out and they redid it? They was like, no, I've never seen that either. So it's like, one, their parents not putting them up on game with different things. I'm even looking at the girls that come out. I work at an after hour spot on the weekends, and it's like, you coming in. A girl made a statement last night. Oh, I paid $20 to get in. I'm looking for a trick. Okay, well, now you going in here looking for somebody that's basically the trick off of, and now when he mistreats you and treats you like the situation that you wanted, then that's your problem.
Come on now.
So I'm standing back there dying laughing because I'm like, did you really just come out your mouth with this? But like I said, social media, these new rappers, these new singers, and all this other stuff, this is what they give these young girls to look for.
Yeah.
Yes. And
so I want to ask you something real quick, Major.
Okay.
I want to ask you something real quick, Tyler. What era was the time? Because we're basically around the same age. What era was the time that you felt like men really love women out here? What era you found in your life, growing up and dating, that you felt like majority of the men were on a page of love?
Well, one, I didn't start dating until I was like 16, so.
Okay.
And
what did you see? What did you see? It don't have to be you. What did you see?
I dated older guys, so they always treated me different. But I feel like it was like the early 90s.
We're
like,
not gonna dig into that.
We're
yeah,
not gonna
don't
dig
do
into
that.
that. We're not gonna do that.
We're not gonna do that.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. So I would say like early 2000s. That's when it kind of turned. Like you saw, you know, the 70s and the 80s. The movies were even different. 70s, 80s, 90s. All the movies showed, you know, this strong black man in the home, and they're loving their wives and they're loving their girlfriends and stuff like that. And now when it got to the late 2000s, I say like 2003, 2004, a lot of things changed.
Okay, so what was the programming that changed that?
I feel like when they took different shows off TV, that's when a lot of stuff changed. I think the last show might have been not all of it was All of Us, not All of Us. Was it All of Us? When it came to shows like that, you had your, you know, the Cosby Show. You had Good Times. You had All of Us. You had
Different World.
Different World. You had, you know, those shows like that.
Family Matters.
Family Matters. What was the show that used to come on Friday nights? You remember you remember the program TGIF when all those shows came on? Yeah,
Boy Meets World, all
Fresh
those stuff,
Prince and you had those shows, and they showed, you know, even if it was a Fresh Prince, Will Smith's mom was a single parent. Remember?
Yeah.
She sent them on for a better education with uncle and aunt.
Yeah.
So whether he grew up in a single household, he still had the love from another family member.
Right.
That he saw how a man was supposed to treat a woman. You had all that. Now that I don't even watch half these shows that come on now. Like I give you Power, Ghost, whatever, all that. That gives you, we should go sell dope. Our whole family should go and sell dope. That's what that gives you. So now you got all these kids thinking jail is okay. Prison is fine.
So what is the other thing that changed the programming as well?
I feel like the generation changed because they didn't see that anymore.
I was leaning towards the music.
That too.
So you had more love songs in the 90s. Now you don't really hear the love songs, and that's why Tank.
You got hunch songs now.
Yeah, it's like the singers are turned actually rappers. So you don't have the harmony and the singing and the chivalry that they had growing up with the After 7, the New Edition. You don't have no comparable artists to this day that produce that type of music. There is no Babyface in modern day time right now.
No.
So that the chivalry came from our music really more than it did the entertainment. So when we was in our car, we was listening to it on the way to work. When
blasting it is what you were doing. Yeah.
Yeah. When we was at work or working out or walking, we were listening to love music. You know what I'm saying? So it was conditioning us to treating women the proper way that we need to treat them. And now these younger generations don't have that. It's all programmed in a different direction, and it's all by design. So even though you said that, you know, these children don't know about slavery, but they know about Julio, they know about the dude up there that got killed in Chicago. They know about all these people, the Chief Keef
Dirk and everybody.
Dirk and all these guys that are basically shooting each other down. So that to me is another form of slavery when you're talking about
you're killing your own.
Yeah, you're killing your own. Like David Banner said in Hidden Colors, you know, part of the trailer, he was saying we're mimicking what we seen our colonizers do, which was shooting down each other.
Yeah.
So it's just another form of what we were growing up on, but it's a more deadlier form because when we grew up, just as much as you said in the 70s and the 80s, we had that love. We still had pimps and hoes, but it was a balance.
It wasn't publicized and it wasn't okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was a balance. It was more of basically a lot of overshadowing that stuff with positivity. Now there's no balance over there and everything is pretty much negativity. So that's why I said,
go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, I had jumped on an interview earlier and I was telling the guy that was interviewing me that we are drawn more to drama and negativity because we're programmed that way. when you look at the reality shows and all of this
Yeah, I
stuff.
was just about to say that.
Yeah,
Baddies and Love and
exactly.
Hip, they look for you to go ahead and tear down this woman and tear down this person. Me and my mom had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and I asked her, I say, Mom, you remember when I was younger, we didn't see tampon commercials. Parents made you close your eyes if it was a quick little sex scene in a movie and stuff like that. Or barely, when they always say, we know rap videos and stuff, sex always sold. But you might have saw a girl in a 2-piece swimsuit or 1-piece swimsuit. Yeah, that was what sex sold. That the Luke videos and all these other stuff. They were fully dressed. I mean, of course, they had on a swimsuit or whatever, but now you got your sexy reds telling you it's okay to tell you what color her private parts are, and they make that okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more so of now your modern day, leaders are your sexy reds, are your Meg Thee Stallions. But what they fail to realize with Meg Thee Stallion, yeah, she's doing what she's supposed to, but she's highly educated too. How many of how many of our new rappers and singers and all this other stuff got college degrees? Not saying that she paid to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
But how many of the other ones are actually using this career to do something better with themselves?
None of them. I don't think she is either, but I get
I
your
don't think
point
so either, but
that
I'm
she
saying
is
she
at
got
least
that to fall back on if anything ever happened.
Yeah.
I get you, and I'm glad you brought that up because that was the point that I wanted to make. The larger argument. I try to always look at the big picture, and the reason why, again, we have this aversion to the Tyler Perrys, and there's that pushback. Tyler Perry is to black men, and his movies are to black men what the rap industry right now today is to black women.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Because if you notice, there are no decent black female rappers at all in the industry. There's Sexy Red, there's Glorilla, there's Meg Thee Stallion, there's Cardi B, there's Sukihana,
Nicki Minaj,
insert piece of shit.
Ice.
They're all garbage, and they don't. None of them represent black women in a good way. None, and some of them aren't even black, and they're so filthy. But since they're so close to black culture, shout out Cardi B, they get considered black because they're black adjacent, and we still have to take all the filth from the bile that she puts out into the world. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the reason for the pushback. We do get that there are some black men out there, but not all, and not even the majority of black men behave like the Dallas character. That's just not true. And more sisters need to realize that and seek those men out, because what happens is you get all these movies that are currently projecting that image. Women start thinking that's all that's out here, especially if you've met a couple of them. You start thinking that that's all that's out here, and oh shit, it's hopeless. Fuck it, I'm gonna just go ahead and pay my little $20 to get in this club so I can get me a trick. You dig? And that's where that
Dallas, Texas got a whole lot of them.
I'm sure.
But I was gonna add to Major's point that just like that with men, the majority aren't projected like that. The women aren't projected. There's not a bulk of women out here just running around like Sexy Red. But when you put that symbolism and that icon piece out there as the poster child, it makes it seem like that's what it is, and the propaganda to hurting y'all. And that's why black men are getting killed by police officers, and now black women are getting harmed, even by everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because of our imagery that's out there. So when we sit back and talk about things and we have to push back, it's because we are basically trying to protect our image and protect our people in the long run, because we get killed for the bad imagery, and just like, okay, so I've always said that, Tyler Perry there's so many films that we need to make. There's so many icons that we have that done great things. There's a lot of ways to make positive movies. And I'm a firm believer, even though Major said, it's true, everybody doesn't live a perfect life. But guess what? When you're a writer and you love your people, I will be writing some shit that will put us in a better light. Because let me tell you something. The number one, who you think, I'm asking you, Fallon, Who you think is the number one dad inside and outside the house, race-wise? Out of all the races, who's the number one father to their children inside and outside the household? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you, black men. Black men ranked number one on a list, 2015. You can check it out by the CDC. Even Oprah did a segment on it. That black men are ranked the number one fathers inside and outside the household. They don't tell us this, because if they told us this, you would know it off rip. I'm the one that's going out here trying to show people what the real reality is while they're sitting back submerging the real facts. Why is that so important? That's important because if you look at every white movie, damn near every white movie, what is always shown? That they're this great fucking family man. No matter if they're going out there to go kill people or whatever it is, there's this dying passion of this father that is there for his children and his wife. You don't see no single white woman. You don't see
the
none of
Seventh
that.
Heaven effect.
Huh?
The Seventh Heaven effect. Remember Seventh Heaven from ABC
Oh,
Family?
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Seventh Heaven effect. It's all like that. Cut and paste, cookie cutter, white picket fence, the dog,
There's a
the
disadvantage
doghouse.
to that one.
What's
because
that?
then in the white race, they have the father, they got the father and the mother, but the mother is dependent on the father. If you ever pay attention to a lot of these movies, they portray this dad as this big businessman. He makes most of the money. He does this, he does that. Whereas the mom is a house mom or whatever, and she's supposed to tend to the kids. So most movies, when dad leaves, what happened? Mom left with nothing. So it kind of, I would say it's kind of in both races. The women are, in some of them, the women are the downfall at the end. Because in the white families, you got the dad as the overpower. He's the one that makes the rules. He's the one that does this, he does that. And then when he leaves, he feels like he can do whatever he wants to. In our race, they have the man as the cheater, the beater, the abuser. So either way it goes, the generation or the way that they have men set up, I'm not gonna say it's a bad thing, but on each race, they always pull the guy out to be the bad person.
Yeah, and that's by design.
And that's by design. But it's always what would you rather? What would you rather an image? If you had a daughter, what would you rather an image of? Would you rather an image of a successful black man and his wife is a housewife, but every scene she's shopping, she's in the gym, she's eating good, healthy, everything like that? Or would you want to see a black woman with 4 kids struggling, talking shit like Monique in the damn movie Precious? What would you rather see?
That was very dark. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's what I'm
If it's
saying.
not Tyler Perry, it's Lee Daniels. Just so
Right.
you know. More toxicity.
Oh, and Lee Daniels got
Slight variation on the theme with him.
Yes, so even Lee Daniels has a movie coming out with Monique. It's coming out in August. I think it said August 16th. It'll be in theaters, and August 30th it'll be on Netflix, and it's called Deliverance. And Monique plays it's supposed to be a horror drama. So, just like she played in the last movie. What was the last movie she played in? I think it was something about, I forgot. Where she was killing the people inside the house.
Yeah, that was good. She was good in
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she played real good in that. She was real good in that. But, it just goes to show you, like...
The reading. The reading.
That's the reading.
Oh, yeah, the reading. Yes, correct. So even, we want to see... I love my sister doing... great acting skills, but let's put our sister in a great light. Let's have some balance. I think she could play a good doctor or anything, a lawyer or something. Let me see that, and then portray a iconic figure and use their story and put her in there. When we look at the Hidden Figures and we look at Black Panther, and I'm just talking about aesthetic wise, not really the real storyline of it. but like aesthetic wise, you know, we're seeing a lot of things that we want to see the Black excellence in, and we gravitate to that. And I was just talking about this on the podcast earlier about Supercell. We got Supercell now that everybody's raving about, Black superheroes. That is a phenomenal show right now, and you know, everybody's like, get the ratings up, getting the ratings up, because I feel like when we see more of that positive stuff about us, you know, that should make people go out there and produce those type of films. I'm tired of all the negative stereotypes on Black men and Black women. Let's see some excellence, because as much as we could say about Black Panther, one thing we could say for sure is when it came out, Black men and Black women were dressing like royalty to go see the movie.
Yeah,
sure were. I did.
Correct.
And I learned my plane on that.
Real talk.
So
You know,
I did think about a movie that you asked about. Which movie did Tyler Perry portray that it wasn't it? A Family That Prays.
That's the
Remember,
only one.
she
Yep.
was
One of the best
yeah,
movies. One
she
of the best
was the total yeah. So I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, I knew it, but I really feel like even with not that one, but is it Medea's Family Reunion with
Which one?
Blair Underwood?
Oh, that was.
It had a message, a family message, but you had to take me through so much of the backlash of the modern day abuse and all this other stuff. He's the lawyer, he's doing this, he's doing that. But then I feel like in that movie, dang, for me to get a good man, I gotta take this BS rather
There you
than
go.
just yeah. So
That's what's wrong with it.
When you like as you got to the end of it, it was like, you know what? The end had a message, but you had to take me through so much in the beginning to get to that message.
Tyler
But see,
Perry.
like I was saying, okay, so what I was saying on the podcast, and I said to him, I said, it's, you know, R. Kelly did what he did. I don't support R. Kelly on whatever it is on that level. But guess what? We don't talk about the woman that turned R. Kelly into a monster. We don't talk, as much as people talk about Divorced in Black, right? Nobody's sitting here blaming this woman. We hear everything about Dallas, but nobody is blaming this woman.
And
When
that's
you
why
talk-
when I first got on, I say mom was the manipulator.
Yeah, and even in the movie you just said with Tyler Perry with the family reunion, the mother, you remember she said that her mother sold her for a Newport and some cigarettes to pass her off to a predator.
For crack.
Yeah, for crack to pass her off to a predator for sexual offense. And then she did the same thing to her daughter by putting her in the tub to get molested by her husband, because if she didn't give her daughter to her husband, then she couldn't live under that same roof. So it's like, damn, god damn, why the fuck are women and men have to go through that type of stuff? That's crazy.
And that some of them do, and it is unfortunate. But like he said, you know, and like you're saying, you know, it seems like when he does this, that's like a rite of passage. In order for you to find this pie in the sky ass dude, you gotta go through all this bullshit.
Hell and back.
That's not true. You dig? But by his movie depictions, he will have you believe that this is the path to where you gotta get to it. It's just a false narrative, man. And when you get $1 billion false narrative, when you have this severely damaged person that they handpicked to write Black stories, you understand? And we get to feeling like they handpicked all of them because they're damaged. Look at there's not one major Black filmmaker aside from Jordan Peele that we know of today that puts out movies that wasn't seriously sexually traumatized. There's Tyler Perry, there's Lena Waithe, there's Ava DuVernay, there's what's the other one? Lee Daniels. This is a common thing, you know. So
Ryan Coogler
and Ryan Coogler, but I'm saying they don't get behind Ryan Coogler. Jordan Peele the same way they get behind these other people.
But you know,
Perry got several
even
TV
when
series out.
Spike Lee used to make good movies.
He
and
did.
Then that wasn't what the crowd was looking for. So they kind of pushed him to the side because it wasn't enough drama and all that other stuff.
And what crowd? And who said that's not what the crowd was looking for? Because Spike Lee has had very successful.
I love any movie that Spike Lee had written, I watched.
That's
but if
what
you
I'm
notice
saying.
now, he's more so of a in the background because that's not what people want. A lot of the new age kids don't even know who Spike Lee is.
That's not no. Let me give you some game. That's not what the white Hollywood executives want to put money behind.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't have anything to do with what people want to see. Tariq Nasheed, our guy. Okay, I support everything this brother does. I found out about Umar Johnson from a Tariq Nasheed movie. Yeah. Tariq Nasheed produces wildly successful documentaries about Black history, about specific things that Black people are doing now. He just did one about hip hop. I don't know if you know who he is. Very successful brother. Multi-bajillion-dollar movies. That movie, his movie right now, Microphone Check, is #1 on Amazon right now in documentaries. Not Black documentaries. And it's a very positive movie about Black American cultures, which is what hip hop is. Mm-hmm. No white executives put any funding into that movie. Oh, she's gone. Damn it. Yes, no white executives put any funding into that movie. And people will tell you, oh, that's not what people want to see. People will tell you that's not what people want to see. Well, why is this movie #1 on Amazon, though?
Right. Yeah.
You dig? And the movie before that was #1 on Amazon, and the one before that. All of his movies were #1. But people will tell you, oh, there's no audience for that. No, that's their excuse for not giving the Black people the money at the top to make these type of positive projects. I was signed to a record label before. I can tell you, the white executives are telling you to rap about big screen TVs and bitches. Yep. Okay. Yeah. And they weren't interested in my content. It's not that people didn't want to hear it, because Kendrick Lamar raps about
They weren't interested.
They weren't interested because there's a vested interest in white supremacist society in selling Black people all kind of pain porn and continuously keeping us traumatized so that we can't accomplish anything while still enriching themselves. So no, it's not.
And those people have a Machiavellian level obsession with control over creative direction, development with projects and stuff as well too.
Yes, they do.
Just these executive producers, and it's important when we look at a lot of films. When you start noticing certain things and hearing complaints, look at who's producing some of these films.
Right.
Yeah.
They've been having a lot of issues, for example, with the Marvel Universe, because there's been a lot of criticism from critics and fans alike about Kevin Feige, who's been at the helm of the MCU for a minute now. They're talking about they don't like the way he does his films, the things he leaves out, even the storytelling. It's become generic with all these different characters and what have you.
Right.
But he's the one that's bankrolling. He's the producer. He's the one that's bankrolling it. So if the films want to come out or they want to get his paper, they're either going to play it his way or not. You've had directors leave saying, I can't work with him, or I'm not doing this with him. He's stifling what we're trying to do here. So they're the ones, just like back in the day when they got the distribution game on lock. When you had groups like NWA and stuff moving CDs and albums out their trunks and whatnot, making big scales. But now all of a sudden, when CDs become the wave and you can only go to so many places for distribution, then they start putting a kibosh on that, saying, well, we can't move this because it doesn't sell. Really? You sure? Because I'm moving a whole bunch of units on my trunk. I can't keep a full trunk. I get out here at 8:00. I can't make it at lunchtime with any in the car. So you always got to ask who's saying these things when they're saying, well, there's no avenue for this. Well, we want to put out positive Black content. We want to show Black families loving each other. We want to see healthy Black men. We want to show healthy Black women, but it's not popular. You say, okay, who's saying that?
Well,
that doesn't matter. People are saying, who's saying it?
Yeah. It's bullshit.
Exactly. I did have some comments that I wanted to say real quick. I got these in. TP knows exactly what to market, because even though people complain about his movies, they still watch them. Therefore, it brings in revenue. In Acrimony, Taraji P's character was looked upon as a villain since she didn't wait for him to become successful. Her family stayed in her ear, and he left to be with a woman who supported him emotionally. Those are the two comments that came in.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to say that. Yeah, we about out of time now. We want to probably wrap it up. Fallon, we appreciate you for jumping on with us. Anything else you wanted to say before you exit off?
No, I think I'm done.
Okay.
All
I
right.
appreciate you, love.
We appreciate you, Mama. Thanks for hopping
We
on with
appreciate
us.
you.
All right. Y'all have a good
For
one.
sure. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
See, we don't bite. We're family friendly, damn it.
We really don't.
But
that was a sharp sister, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, and that to respond to the "we don't bite" point, we didn't have to, because she just, you know, I don't think she was understanding where we was coming from. Okay, once we started talking to each other and we expanded on our points, we had a lot of common ground, and that's good. A lot of time, brothers and sisters really have a lot of common points. It's just that initially what we may say may not sound like it. But when we start talking, oh, okay, that's what you meant. Okay, I see where you're coming from. Oh, that's what you meant. Oh, yeah. She didn't really disagree with anything we said.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But that, I just want to take time out to highlight that, because a lot of the time, that's what happens in some of these gender war discussions that we have.
Exactly.
And in some of these, online dating spaces, whatever the case may be, people not taking the time to listen to what the other person is saying and, try to understand where they're coming from. They listen to respond as opposed to listening to understand, as our brother Anthony says a lot. And shout out to him for inviting the sister on and speaking her piece. I didn't disagree with what she was saying either. We were just kind of adding to what she was saying and just kind of drilling down on that point, at some of these attacks that black men, tend to see in cinema. Black culture for the past 40 years has been primarily revolved around attacking black men. And she even mentioned that culture more broadly, is attacking the role of the man. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Facts.
So why would we not push back against that? That shouldn't be happening. You dig? And
If you have a pulse, you should be doing that. That's called self-preservation.
That's it.
And any
Especially
organism
when
that's
we
too
the leaders
stupid
out
to
here.
defend itself, any organism that's too stupid or too passive to defend itself, it's only good for one thing, and that's for fertilize. You're good for enriching the soil. That's all you're good for. You're not going to be around too much longer. So if you have any sense of intelligence, self-defense, self-preservation, you're damn right you better push back at whatever's coming at your neck.
Precisely.
Correct.
And I welcome sharp sisters like that to come on. That's what we need out here. Go ahead, Ann.
Definitely. I know Fallon for a long time, man. Sister been on point. Every time she jumps down, she always shouts me out like, hey, I'm in town, stuff like that. And she always, just hang out as friends and whatever the case may be.
She lives in Dallas? Did I catch that?
She lives in Texas. She's been out there for a long time now.
Okay.
I think she's out there with her peoples and everything like that. I think she got a dude out there.
Okay.
But
shout out to the Lone Star State.
Yeah, I'm gonna be moving out there in a minute, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely. If you're in that area, she definitely goes to different various places that you might want to go out there with your wife and stuff like that. Before we get up out of here, I did want to show 2 videos because I think these 2 videos are very important. I selected these videos because these are do not situations. All right, so I'm gonna play them black to black, and I'm gonna let Drake and Major talk about them. All right, so the first one I'm gonna play right now is this scene. All right, so that's the one. That's the first video, and the second one is this one. All right, so that's the final scene. So the first one was she signed the divorce paper without counsel. I highly recommend women don't do that. Don't sign papers without somebody that was that legal representation. Even though she said she read it, you don't know if she really read it or not. But always have legal representation when you're signing something. And in this one, don't go to another person's yard with a gun because you're on their land. So I don't want guys to go out there defending your wife, your girlfriend, or whatever, because the minute you step on their land, now they have the defense of, stand your ground law. So you'll end up, being killed for free. So I just wanted to show those two parts, and I'll let Bobby and Major elaborate more on why not to do that.
Let me make this real quick. I know we run out of time. I just want to point out two things that jumped out of the screen with these two scenes for me.
Yeah.
People being emotional. You know, I cannot stress enough. This is Manversations. That's the name of this show for a reason. A place where we inform, build, and inspire, right? The most important thing, one of the most important things that you can do as a man is not make hasty, ill-informed, emotional decisions. That also applies to women. Like you said, what the hell are you doing signing divorce papers without counsel? That's just stupid. It's just very foolish. And that, again, we get back to Tyler Perry and his elementary level of writing. You know, nobody really does that, and no one should be doing that. And then, you know, there's a whole other situation where right after she got divorced, she has a divorce party where there are a whole bunch of, you know, half-naked men that are strippers, presumably up in her girlfriend's husband's house. He, of course, has nothing to say about that. That's perfectly fine because he has a backbone. Okay, great. And, you know, then, you know, you go and you start talking about the worst scene, the one that really just ticked me off, is the scene where the father, oh, he touched my wife. Oh, Lord, I'm going to go kill him. Lord Jesus. And he goes and grabs his gun, gets in the car. And he goes over there and he starts talking shit. And look, dude, I'm an old school street dude, bro. Like, I can't say I was ever a thug, but there's certain things that in the street you just don't do. You know what I'm saying? We're going back to manhood 101 now. You know, first of all, you don't go and just run off half-cocked talking about you're going to kill somebody, and you know that this woman has 4 sons, you know, not to mention her herself. She's a demon. She might kill your ass. You know, you didn't think about anything. You just ran out the house. Oh, Lord, he took my woman. Oh, Lord. Like a coon. You dig? Like, that just makes my blood boil. You know, that. Let's get off the plantation, bro. You dig? Yeah. Black men think, especially black men in his position. He's a preacher. He has a wife. They have a home. He has shit to lose. He can't just go off half-cocked acting stupid. You dig? But lo and behold, in a Tyler Perry movie, that's what happens, right? And then he goes over there, and of course he didn't think anything through, so he ends up getting ambushed from behind, and he gets his ass whooped. He could have got killed right there for not being strategic, not thinking. You dig? And we have a habit, some of us, of doing that. Lesser guys. This guy, with the level that he's at, his intellect, I would anticipate that he wouldn't be so foolish, but it could happen. You know, brothers, let's be more strategic in how we move. Let's think before we go into action. And, you know, let's do things that put ourselves in a position to win as well as the people around us. You know, you get killed because you went off half-cocked, whatever the case may be. Now you're leaving your wife and your family unprotected.
Yeah.
You understand? You got to be smarter than that. And, you know, fortunately, a lot of these things only take place in Tyler Perry written movies. To our good brother Tyler Perry, for the love of God, bro, hire some goddamn writers. This shit is garbage. And I'll land my plane.
Well said. Drake.
Oh, man. Tyler.
Bruh.
Tyler, the creator of nonsense. Oh, my God. Yeah, really light, quick dabbing on the points that are already made. Plain and simple. Man, woman, boy, girl, puppy, kitten, gecko, grizzly bear. I don't care who you are or what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Do not ever sign a damn legal document that you have not read through. That's number one. And when we're talking about heavy duty level legal documents like divorce papers or what have you, don't your ass dare even pick up that pen unless you have your attorney over there to look over it with you. Don't do that.
Yeah.
because you don't know what's in that paperwork. You don't know if something was added last second. You don't know if something was tossed in there, what have you.
Exactly.
And it's not just that. Even if you read it, some people don't understand. Just because you can read that paperwork, and just because you can read some of those terms, you can actually read through it and you can make sense out of it. That doesn't mean that you understand the nuance of it. Legalese is its own language. Get you an attorney that is competent and is capable, because they can look through some of those things, and just based on how certain paragraphs are structured, they can peep things. They can see that something is off. They can see not only things that are in there that shouldn't be in there, but they can also see things that are not in there that should be in there. Remember, this is their job. I don't care how intelligent you are. I don't care how much you may read legal textbooks for fun or recreation, that's their thing. You are not better at understanding the law than someone who does this for a living 9 times out of 10. Most people that go and take that bar exam, they fail on the first attempt. And it's a very difficult, and that's with a whole bunch of training and practice and studying all hours of the night. It's a very difficult exam to pass. You have to be very thorough, in addition to schooling that you're taking and everything there. And then if they actually have experience with doing this, they've been in the game for some years now, they've seen a lot. Lean on the wisdom. That's a good way to get yourself screwed over. And then when you find out that they got your ass, then it's going to take God knows how much money to go ahead and actually pay an attorney to go ahead and try and get you out of it, if they can.
Yeah.
When you cut corners, the only person you really cutting is yourself. All right. Second thing on as far as what brother did, look, I'm not even going to say that he was wrong to pull up on the house like he did. I'm not even going to say that.
Okay.
I think he was, but I'm not going to say that. That's not going to push. Whatever it is you choose to do, I would highly recommend that before you do anything, you think. Now, you heard what she said on the phone. She didn't tell him, but someone told him what went down. So the first thing he did was he went and he got the boomstick, went to go find Buddy. He smelled blood. There was no thinking in that whatsoever. He didn't think to bring backup, if that's what he's going to do. He didn't think to have a contingency plan. If this falls to him, I'm going to do something else. There's no tactics. Just knock on the door. Where's your son? And then dude come out looking all surly. I'm not even going to touch on that. So that's more of Tyler's imagination. I really want to know who heard that man. I really want to know who heard that man. But in any case, and if you notice, he didn't have a plan, but Dallas, he had a plan. He came out there and made sure that he was trying to provoke that man, get him more in his feelings, get him all flipped up. He's using inflammatory language. And why was he that comfortable and cocky talking like that? Because he knew his brothers were waiting.
Right.
With the baseball bat, the crowbar, what have you, so they can go ahead and play a game of home run derby with Buddy's spinal cord. And Mama right there again manipulated, and she knows. Well, because again, he made an emotional decision.
Yeah.
He said right there, you ain't gonna do nothing. How do you know that? Because he knows that this man has moral convictions. He doesn't want to actually kill somebody. That's the anger in his head talking. But now he's being confronted with actually doing it versus thinking about doing it.
Right.
If you've never pulled a trigger on somebody, if you've never had the knife over somebody, if you've never had the weapon over somebody, knowing that you're about to take their life, it's different.
It is.
That's a different headspace that you got to be in. Anybody that's ever served in the military, law enforcement, security work, whatever, anyone that's ever actually had to go ahead and actually pull the trigger, whatever, to defend somebody, to defend themselves, they'll tell you it's a big difference. You can talk big and bad in your head all you want to, but it's different when you know you literally have life or death right now, and just 3 pounds of pressure or 7 pounds of pressure can take somebody off the planet. It's a big difference. And he knew Buddy wasn't about that life, that he didn't have it in to just jump to do that. But, again, good or bad, for better or for worse, if Buddy had actually taken the time to think first, to calm himself down, and make a decision either way, rationally, when Buddy started testing his gangster, saying, I'm going to turn my back, he could have pulled the trigger right then. That would have been the end of it right then and there.
Yeah.
I hold making emotional decisions at the same level as making no decision.
Right.
Because it really ends up being the same thing. Because if their mama didn't pull him off them, They were probably going to keep on going until Buddy was too injured to make it to the hospital.
Mhm.
That's the only reason he wasn't dead right there on that grass. Whereas if he would have pulled the trigger, that probably would have bought him some time, got them in a flux, and would have let them know that, hey, he's serious. He's got at least 4 or 5 more rounds in there. How many of us want to end up on a T-shirt as well?
Mhm.
But because he wasn't thinking clearly, his mind was in a flux, and he was a victim of people who were thinking clearly. You got to stay sober-minded in everything you do in life. So again, I'm not here to say whether he was right to do what he did or what he was wrong to do what he did. What I'm saying is he was wrong for not approaching the situation in his right mind.
Okay. I got a comment that said this does happen in real life. Lots of men automatically go into protective mode when it comes to their family. So can you really fault the man for doing what he's supposed to do, regardless of the outcome?
Yes. Because no, I'm not even knocking somebody protecting his family. I'm not knocking that. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been in a situation before. You know, I've had to protect myself before. I've had to protect people around me before. And I didn't stutter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it went down. I'll just put it that way. You understand? But I put it to you like this. That's more of an immediate situation. Right here, right now, this is happening. I got my shit, and look, you know, if that's how you want to move, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been there. Versus, oh, this happened earlier, and you know, I'm telling you about it, and I'm gonna go and put myself in harm's way and not think through what I'm doing. No, that's silly, and that can get you killed. That's not how you move. I'm not even knocking his decision to respond or knocking his decision to clap back. I'm knocking the fact that he's running out of the house emotionally in a very foolish way, you know, whereas he's not thinking it through. He's not being strategic about how he does it. It's not always so much what you do, but how you do it. If you're going to put pause on somebody, especially if you're thinking that you in a position where you might have to take a life, number 1, 2, and 3, you don't get to that point and then you got the gun on somebody and you pausing. That's never happened to me. It should never happen to anybody. You understand what I'm saying? If that's what it comes down to and you got a weapon in your hand, you better be ready. You dig? And that was very foolish. Yeah, I hold it against it. That kind of shit gets you killed. And again, once you've been killed, now how protected is your wife? Now how protected is your daughter? As opposed to if you just think the shit through. I'm not saying don't clap back. I'm not saying don't go over there and kill all of them. But you need to know how you're going to do what you're going to do and what the outcome is going to be. Chestnut checker. Simple as that.
John Wick is a movie, and like you said, that's a heavy thing. When you pull up, it doesn't matter if it's a knife, it doesn't matter if it's a baton, it doesn't matter if it's a firearm. The minute you introduce a weapon into the situation, the game done changed.
That's it.
We were playing poker before. Damn it, now we're playing Monopoly. The stakes is higher now.
That's it.
It's a different game because you automatically up the ante now. This is no longer a case of good old-fashioned fisticuffs and put up your dukes and all that other stuff and let's go viral for World Star. Now someone has a very significant chance of not making it out of here alive. Possibly both people.
It's different.
It's different. So again, when you pull that thing out, that means that the trigger will be pulled. That's what that means. Not, no. You're better off pulling up and do whatever you want to do empty-handed. You're better off doing that. He would have been better off if that's the hesitation he had. You better off knocking the door, confront him, talk about it, come out here and talk to me. Let's fight or something. And then number 2, I have issues with that because, and I don't know who it is that made the comment, but whether it's male or female, let me say this. We need to understand what protection actually is.
Yeah.
We need to understand that because protection is nuance. Protection doesn't mean knee-jerk or hair-trigger response. Protecting his wife would have been if he was there with her when that happened. and dude slapped or attacked her, and he responded and put paws on him or something,
Exactly.
or intervened. That would be protection.
Yeah.
Him finding out later on and writing afterwards, that's not protection anymore.
Nah.
Now, let's
That's
say
all-
that it was the right. Let's say that wasn't a shotgun. Let's say it was a pistol. Now, if that happened at the grocery store, dude slapped her or went to make a move for him, and he pulled out the piece and put 2 or 3 in his chest or something, that's self-defense.
That's different. Yeah.
You were defending someone. This is a person who's hostile, aggressive. They've made aggressive actions toward your wife. You are now pulling out your weapon, whatever it is, to defend another person's life there in the moment. That's self-defense.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happened earlier.
Right.
She got away. She might have gotten a bruise or a lump on her face, whatever, but she got away. She's fine. That stuff will heal. All right? You pull up to their property, you are automatically in the wrong by default.
Real talk.
When 12 pulls up and get the lay of the situation, they're not going to scoop them. Well, they may scoop them up too for what happened earlier, but they damn sure leave them with you. They may or may not pick them up. They definitely leave them with you.
Yeah.
You went to somebody else's territory, and worst of all, if they pull out on you and put you down, guess what? They're justified.
They're justified.
You're the intruder.
You got to think. You got to be.
So that's why we're saying you got to be mindful, and that's not protection. So now, like exactly like Major said, now your wife's really unprotected. They can go back and they smacked her in public and had to leave. Now they can go in the house and do whatever they want to do. They can take the time with it now.
Real talk.
So where's the front line of defense? And this is why we always talk about protection or rescue when it comes to deal with women. You have to protect your protectors. When you have someone who's willing to put down their life for you, they're willing to put themselves in harm's way for you. That's a huge responsibility for you. It's not like school. It's not like when you're a child and you go and you pull the fire alarm and you run away and you don't take it lightly. No, this is someone's life you're talking about now.
Yeah.
You go and say something, and that's the reason partly why she didn't tell her husband. She should have found a way to get it out there. But the reason she didn't tell her husband is because she knew he was going to do something stupid in that regard. She showed sense. She was looking to protect her protector because she knows that she got that. She knows she got a dude that's going to do whatever. But she understood that she also had to protect him from himself. So she did not put him in a situation where she knew that he was going to risk his life unnecessarily. And that's also why she called up dude's ex-wife and said, you need to get there right away because he's going to go and get himself killed. That is your duty when you have someone that's willing to ride for you like that. Protection is not a one-sided deal. That's both ways. You have to protect the person protecting you like they're protecting you.
Yeah, and I have a real problem. Just in closing, I have a real problem with the fact that she called her husband and sent her husband over there to put his life in jeopardy.
No.
She told her husband.
Did she?
She told her husband.
When I heard the clip, I thought they said that. I thought she said that she didn't tell him, but somebody else let him know what happened.
That's right. My bad. That's right.
Okay.
Actually, you're right. Somebody else told him, and then he went over there, whatever the case may be. So you're right about that. But again, nobody called the damn police. The people at the store didn't call the police and tell him. They told the husband. And Megan Good, her character later on in the show, when the dude, mind you, she just got a divorce. She has a divorce party that night and then screws the guy she was messing with the same night of her divorce party. Only in a Tyler Perry movie will you find this type of bullshit. Now, it happens, but again, what kind of light are you putting black women in? This is supposed to be this pie in the sky ass woman. She's such a great woman. And the same day she divorces her husband, she's upstairs screwing the next guy.
Anyway, throwing divorce parties and stuff.
Right, throwing divorce parties. Anyway, after that happened, the next morning, the guy's still laying there asleep, and she comes downstairs and finds her ex-husband in the kitchen eating cereal. He goes upstairs. She don't yell, say, hey, there's a crazy nigga in the house. Nothing. She just lets him go upstairs and snatch him out the bed and start beating on him. Dude, again, you talk about protecting your protectors, not in a Tyler Perry movie. Let that nigga go out there and figure it out. This is why I hate this man. You dig? Like that, there's no reason for that. You know what I'm saying? You just putting all the men in harm's way for no damn reason. Anyway,
male disposability on wax. But anyways,
I'll park the Range Rover and we could get out of here. Yeah.
Yes. On that note, let's get into our last thing of the night, which is Crown Check.
There
All
we
right,
go.
so our Crown Check, Bobby has selected this person, this young pioneer. So we're going to highlight her tonight.
Woo!
Meet what's her name?
Hefzibah
Okay.
Hefzibah Akinwale.
Okay. So meet the 10-year-old author breaking records with her novel Chronicles of a Timekeeper's Whisked Away at 58,000 words. This middle grade adventure marks her as the youngest author to achieve such a feat, inspiring young readers everywhere. Meet the 10-year-old girl who breaks the world record. All right. So shout out to this young girl for writing a lengthy novel at the age of 10 and inspiring so many and breaking records. These are the type of stories. Why we don't have stories like that? Tyler Perry, why do you don't have a story about little black girls doing this type of stuff?
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
So when we talk about and highlight people, we've highlighted so many wonderful women on this platform. Where's their stories? But yet you want to make continuous stories about beating up women, about this super predator black men, and it's just a perpetual same story, just with different characters. That's all it is. All right. So that's my take for the night. You guys want to head us out real quick, wrap it up?
Shout out to that young sister. Lovely, lovely selection for that Crown Check by our good brother Bobby Drake. That was fantastic. Much respect to her. I want to see more and more young sisters like that. That makes my heart smile. I know that was probably low key. Bobby telling me to hurry up and finish my book, and that's cool too. You know, damn, a 10-year-old can do it. Nigga, what's your problem? Okay, I got it, Bobby. Sure.
Two things can be true at once. I mean,
I'll take it. Okay, no problem. People, you know, at the end of the day, let's start pushing back against these bullshit narratives in these movies. You know, when we see these type of films portraying us in these horrible ways, let's not support them. I know that doesn't sound very pro-black from me, Mr. Pro-Black himself. But goddamn it, I mean, some of these writers, the Lena Waites, the Tyler Perrys, the Ava DuVernays, the Lee Daniels, whatever the case may be, all of these types of writers, they write at a level of toxicity that's unparalleled. You know, I haven't seen it in my time. You contrast their work with Ryan Coogler or Jordan Peele, who have far better and far more interesting movies. You understand what I'm saying? And you see that there's a problem because people will say, oh, well, the audience doesn't want that. Well, these guys make very positive films. And even if the film isn't necessarily a positive film, it portrays the black people in a very positive way. And people flock to see their films. So no, it's not that there's not an audience for it. There's definitely an audience for it. These people are choosing to write this garbage. You know, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. If we're going to have Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels and all these buffoons write this type of foolishness in terms of creating black stories, we might as well leave it to the damn white supremacists to keep writing these stories. What is the difference? You understand? I can't.
You get to wipe their hands clean of white supremacy and racism. That's why
they get to hide behind the black face. Yeah. You know, and that's why they choose these Sambos to go out there and write these stories because, oh, we're not racist. Tyler Perry said this in his movie. Lee Daniels said it in his movie. Lena Waithe said it. We're not racist, but you're the one who's bankrolling it. So yes, you're still racist. And, you know, these are just useful coons. You know, at the end of the day, you might as well let the white supremacists write the story if you're just going to get a white supremacist in blackface to do it. No, I don't fuck with none of these people and none of these authors and none of their movies. Like, I really don't rock with them. And even some of the Terry McMillans, I got a problem with her. You know, and some of these other writers whose books have become movies, you know, and the way that they depict black men in particular, but also black women. You know, we have to be very, very careful about the imagery that we allow people to put out into the world that says this is black people. You know, it needs to be balanced. And if it's not going to be balanced and if it's not going to tell our real stories, we don't need to be supporting that shit. A lot of y'all have deified Tyler Perry. And y'all go support his movies just because he's Tyler Perry, not because the shit is any good.
Yeah.
That shit gotta stop. You know what I'm saying? Because really what happens then is you'll support anything. And that's what we've been doing for a long time. Since reality TV came out, as a race, we've been supporting anything because I can't even understand anybody, especially black women. How the fuck you watch that bullshit? Reality TV? Really? And how you listen to all these I'm a hoe rappers on the female side, how you listen to all these I'm a junkie rappers on the male side. We have to be very, very cognizant of what it is that we intake. You understand? What it is that we digest, what it is that we internalize, and what it is that we support. We can end all of this shit overnight with our dollars. We got to stop supporting this bullshit. And I said what I said. I'm done.
Definitely. Well said. Well said.
Again, want to give a big shout out to Hefzibah Akinwale for that amazing accomplishment.
Wonderful.
And for the record, I have every intention of going to purchase that book. I already purchased a couple this week, and I try to have a book budget that I show out on. But I also discovered that if you have a Kindle Unlimited subscription, you can also go ahead and read the book for free on Kindle. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started reading because I actually just finished I finally finished. It took me like about damn near 4 months because I was looking like a page here and there so often. But I finally finished the fiction book that I was reading by what's the damn book called again? The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck. So I was just about ready to start looking for another one. I was going to jump on the second book in the series, but now that I've discovered this one, this is about to be in the rotation. So definitely going to be reading that book. I'm looking forward to it as well. And also going to go ahead and show some love and cop the book. And I might even, I'm probably going to look at copying a few additional copies. I'm going to see if I can give them to some of the youngins I know. See if I can make it in a contest or something. But definitely want to go ahead and get those books in the hands of our kids. So it's the summer. Don't tell. Take the damn phone, take the tablet, take the PlayStation, the Xbox, the Switch, the whatever. Take the computer out your kids' hands for 15 damn minutes. Put a book in their hand. Get them reading something. All right? So this is a perfect way to start. And just to put a capstone on everything else we've been talking about this evening, man, it's really important. I need us to get out of this vague, broad concept of representation matters, because you hear people say that. Representation matters, representation matters. I believe that it was Issa Rae who coined the phrase that a lot of us are running with, where I'm rooting for everybody black. The idea behind these sentiments are great. They're actually wonderful. I rock with them. The problem is they're ideal sentiments, and we don't live in an ideal world.
Right.
We don't live in an ideal society or an ideal culture. Unfortunately, we have a mixed multitude where we have those of us who may look like us, but they're not like us. Right? All skin folk ain't kinfolk, and just because they're your color doesn't mean that they're your kind. Right. So when you have the Tyler Perrys and the other figures that Major mentioned before, they may be our skin folk, they may be our color, but they're not our kinfolk and they're not our kind.
Right.
Whether it's because the actions they're taking are deliberate and malicious against us or unintentional. You know, it doesn't matter if I shoot you because I want you dead or if I accidentally pull a trigger and put a bullet in you. You still got shot.
Real talk.
Do you really care about if I had a mean look in my face or if I was crying afterwards? I mean, you're shot. There's a bullet in you. So it doesn't matter what the purpose was. The fact is, it's doing the damage. So we need to be very scrutinized. We need to be very specific. We need to be bougie about who's out here putting our image and our likeness on certain things and claiming they're speaking to us and for us, because everybody ain't on the same mindset like that.
Right.
And there's a number of places, and this is old information too. The Bible says it as well too. Guard the avenues of your heart. Guard your eyes, your ears, the things, your mouth, the things that you take in your body, whether it's in your stomach, your eyes, wherever. Guard those things. We're supposed to be very discriminating when it comes to that. You're not supposed to be watching everything, listening to everything, eating everything, doing everything. Because there are harmful things out here. And it does pollute you. It affects your mind. It affects your body. It affects your quality of life. It affects you mentally. It affects you spiritually. It affects you in a number of different ways. So you have to be mindful of what you take and what you feed on, because what you feed on is what you be on. All right, that's very important to keep in mind. And when we need to go ahead and get them, Gage. Oh, no, that's me. But you need to be discriminating with that. I wish we would flip-flop, and we're not going to make this a political conversation, but I wish we would flip-flop the way we approach what we support, either with our viewership or with our dollars, the way we behave politically. Because politically, we're blind loyalists. We're locked in. You can't sway us to go anywhere, unfortunately.
Right.
For better, for worse, we're locked in all the way till death do us part, it seems like. We need to be that way with the right things that are out there. We need to be spending our money that way. We're only going to spend money on things that enrich us. We're only going to take in things that enrich us. That's how we need to be. And politically, we can be all reckless like that. Whoever is going to do whatever we want them to do, we rock with them. If that's Republicans today, then we're with Republicans. If that's the Democrats tomorrow, that's with the Democrats. But with an independent, the day after them, we go where our needs go. So we need to have a mental flip-flop. We're off sides. We need to get back on the right side of the ball so we can actually win this, because we're behind. And it's not even the 12th hour anymore. It's the 3rd hour. The sun's already up. It's hot as hell outside.
Well said.
So we got to make it up in the back end. Once again, want to thank Fallon for hopping on, for being brave to go ahead and take the Manversations plunge, not the Pepsi plunge, the Manversations plunge, and spend time with us. You know what it is. You know how we get down every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless otherwise notified. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I know you see the banner down here. Follow, like, and subscribe. Share the word. Make sure you go ahead and click on that bell icon to subscribe to us to get our notifications. We're not going to blow your line up, but when we go off, when a video is dropped, you're going to know about it so you can spend some time with us. Until next time, y'all be well. We'll catch y'all next week. Be safe. Be whole. See you on the other side.
Yeah. All right. So thanks again for everybody watching in. Hope this was a super dope show. It was super dope tonight for us. And next week we have Aman coming on. I spoke to him, and he's going to be telling us what we need to do to prepare ourselves just in case we pop off and there is, we don't have no resources or nothing like that. If you have a hurricane coming in, you need to know how to prepare yourself, and also to be that model male role model and protector of the community to help others out as well. So tune in next week for a very important show. It's definitely much needed. We have a busy hurricane season. So you don't want to be caught up in a situation where you could have got some information to help yourself, your family, your community out. All right. So we'll see you guys next week. All right. Peace.
Yay.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up. Manversations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manversations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You gotta eat what you kill. You gotta go out there. You gotta hunt for your meals.
We all have that ability to connect with people, to be that motivational person in somebody's life.
You gotta let people know there's certain lines you don't cross, and that there's gonna be consequences if you do.
Man up.
If you are an adult and you are in a relationship, that person's emotions are not your responsibility.
Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
The devil, during slavery, destroyed the masculinity or manhood of the so-called Negro. No man. No man. Right now you got to be trained all over again to be a man.
When someone is obligated to do something, it is binding upon them to do it. And failure to do it causes reaction.
Man up.
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
If that people knew their glorious past, if that people knew their glorious past, if that people knew their glorious past, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
You want to tell me about yourself? Go get your friends. I'll tell you who you are based on who your friends are.
Don't just live and die. That's an ugly existence. Make your life matter, make your life count. Live a life where people can actually mourn you for the things you left behind, not just because you were around and existed.
We need strong black nuclear family.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. Mother, father, son, daughter, all in the same house with a focus on the family unit as a whole.
We had Tulsa, Atlanta, New Jersey, Detroit. We had Rosewood. We had Black Wall Streets all over.
The Republicans aren't for us, but the Democrats aren't for us either. And we should have no alliance to any political party. We only have alliance to what is in our own best interest.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up. Manifestations. Man up.
A place where we inform.
Manifestations.
A place where we inform, build, and inspire.
At the end of the day, as men in the community, we must stand together and be counted, because people look to us for guidance, leadership, and protection. And if we are not about that business, we are not on our job. Here we have grown-ass man conversations in the spirit of that purpose. Anthony Malcolm, Bobby Drake, Major Gage. We are. This is Manifestations 2020.